today we hear the prayer of Elijah.
Cari fratelli e sorelle, buongiorno.
Dear brothers and sisters, good morning, he said.
Riprendiamo oggi le catechesi sulla preghiera, che abbiamo interrotto per fare la catechesi sulla cura.
I'm beginning to pick up the catechesis on prayer, which I interrupted for the catechesis on the healing of the world.
Più vincenti di tutta la Sacra Scrittura, il profeta Elia.
Today we meet one of the most compelling characters in the whole of sacred scripture, the prophet Elijah. He goes beyond the confines of his time, and we can also see his presence in some episodes of the Gospel. He appeared at Jesus' side, together with Moses at the moment of the Transfiguration. Jesus himself refers to him to give credit to the testimony of John the Baptist. In the Bible, Elijah appears suddenly in a mysterious way, coming from a small vigil that is completely marginal, on the margins. And in the end, he leaves the scene under the eyes of the disciple Elisha, on a chariot of fire that takes him up to heaven. He is therefore a man without a precise origin, and above all, without an end, taken up into heaven. For this reason, his return was expected before the coming of the Messiah, like a precursor. And this is how this is a context in which Elijah's return was expected. Scripture presents Elijah as a man of crystalline faith.
Era ranchiuso il segreto della sua missione. Sarà così per tutta la vita, uomo intergerrimo.
His very name, which may mean Yahweh is God, encloses the secret of his mission. He will be like this for the rest of his life, a man of integrity, incapable of petty compromises. His symbol is fire, the image of God's purifying power. He will be the first to be put to the test, and he will remain faithful. He is the example of all people of faith who know temptation and suffering, but do not fail to live up to the ideal for which they were born.
Per questo è uno dei personaggi più cari alla tradizione monastica.
Prayer is the lifeblood that constantly nourishes his existence. For this reason, he is one of those most dear to the monastic tradition, so much so that some have elected him as the spiritual father of the life consecrated to God. Elijah is the man of God who stands as a defender of the primacy of the Most High. And yet, he too is forced to come to terms with his own frailties. It is difficult to say which experiences were most useful to him: the defeat of the false prophets on Mount Carmel, or his bewilderment, in which he finds that he is no better than his ancestors. In the soul of those who pray, the sense of their own weakness is more precious than moments of exaltation, when it seems that life is a series of victories and successes. This always happens in prayer. Moments of prayer that we feel that elevate us, that moments of prayer, of pain, of aridity, of trial. Prayer is like that, to allow ourselves to be led by God and to allow ourselves to feel even the painful moments, even temptation.
realtà che la preghiera è così si ritrova in tante altre vocazioni
For
bibliche.
those who pray, this is a reality found in many other biblical vocations, even in the New Testament. Think, for example, of St. Peter and St. Paul.
La loro vita era così,
In their lives, it was like that. Ups and downs
di abbassamento, di sofferenza.
and
È
sufferings.
l'uomo di vita contemplativa e nello stesso tempo di vita attiva, preoccupato delle
Elijah is the man of contemplative life and at the same time of active life, preoccupied with the events of his time, capable of clashing with the king and queen after they had Naboth killed to take possession of his vineyard.
Quanto bisogno abbiamo noi
How much need we have
di credenti,
as believers,
cristiani,
as Christians,
che agiscano davanti
to be zealous
a persone che hanno responsabilità
before
esistenziale,
those who have
coraggio di Elia,
responsibility to have Elijah's courage,
dire questo
to
non
say,
va fatto,
this should not be done.
questo è un assassinio,
This is murder.
abbiamo bisogno
We need
dello
this.
spirito di Elia.
We need the spirit of Elijah.
Così ci mostra che non deve esistere dicotomia nella vita di chi prega. Non è differenza.
Thus, he shows us that there should be no dichotomy in the life of those who pray, as one stands before the Lord and then goes towards the brothers and sisters to whom he sends us.
Per truccarsi l'anima.
We don't go before the Lord in order to put makeup on our soul. That's not prayer. That's
Confronto con Dio è un
prayer
lasciarsi
is
inviare.
putting ourselves before God and then allowing him to send us to save our brothers and sisters.
Il banco di
Otherwise,
prova della
we're
preghiera
faking prayer.
è l'amore concreto per il prossimo.
The test of prayer is real love of one's neighbor.
I credenti
The proof of
agiscono
prayer
nel modo dopo
is real
aver
love for
prima
one's neighbor.
taciuto e pregato. Altrimenti la loro
Believers
azione
act in the
impulsiva
world after having first kept silent and prayed. Otherwise, their action is impulsive.
senza meta.
It's devoid of discernment and rushing toward a destination. And when Christians do things like that, they do a lot of injustice because they haven't gone first before the Lord to pray,
Discernere cosa
to
devono.
discern what to do.
Le pagine della Bibbia lasciano supporre
The pages of the Bible suggest that Elijah's
che abbia
faith
conosciuto un
has
progresso.
also progressed.
Anche lui è cresciuto nella preghiera.
He too grew in prayer.
Poco per volta.
He refined it little by little.
Dio è diventato per lui
God's
più
face
nitido
came
durante
into
il cammino,
focus for him as he
fino a
walked,
raggiungere il suo culmine
until he
in
reached the
quell'esperienza
peak in that extraordinary experience
quando Dio si manifesta
when
Elia
God
sul
manifested himself to Elijah
monte,
on the
non
mountain.
manifesta
He
in
manifests himself not in the storm,
non nel terremoto,
not in the
nel fuoco
earthquake
divorante,
or the devouring fire,
ma nel mormorio di un vento leggero.
but in a light murmuring sound, or better,
Una traduzione
a
che
translation that
l'esperienza.
reflects well that experience
Di silenzio
in a-
sonoro.
in like a thread of
Dio Elia. Che
of
con questo segno umile
a thread of sound
comunica
that could
con
be
Elia,
heard.
che in quel momento è un profeta fuggiasco che ha smarrito la
It
pace.
is with this humble sign that God communicates with Elijah, who at that moment is a fugitive prophet who has lost his peace.
Su tutti i fronti.
God comes forward to meet a tired man, a man who thought he had failed on all fronts. And with that gentle breeze, he brings calm, and through that thread that's filled with sound,
Questa è la
peace
vicenda di
comes
Elia.
back into his heart. This is Elijah's story,
Tutti noi.
but it seems that it's written for all of
Qualche
us.
sera possiamo
In some
sentirci
evenings, we
inutili,
can
ecco.
feel useless and lonely. And it's then that prayer will come and knock on the door of our hearts.
Un lembo del mantello di Elia lo possiamo raccogliere
We
tutti
can
noi.
all gather into a corner of Elijah's
La
cloak.
realtà del mantello il suo discepolo Eliseo.
After all, he gave half of his cloak to his disciple Elisha. And even if we've done something wrong, or if we feel threatened or frightened, when we return before God with prayer, serenity and peace will return miraculously. And this is what Elijah's example teaches us. Thank you.